Hey guys, welcome back to Salt and Cincy. My name is Andrew Maloney. I'm your certified Cincinnati hype man and local real estate agent here in Cincinnati. And I'm super pumped for today's episode. I'm here with Matt Renie of the Cincy Hat. Matt, welcome to Salt and Cincy.
I'm pumped to be here. I love podcasts. I'm like an 18-hour-a-week podcast junkie, so it's like surreal to be on a podcast right now.
Well, welcome. So the Cincy Hat, for those that don't know what it is, I'm sure a lot of our listeners do, but can you fill us in on how it started, how it came to be, etc.?
Yes. So the Cincy Hat got started by my best friend since 8th grade, Ted Karras.
Okay.
So Ted got signed by the Bengals the spring of 2022, right after the Super Bowl run.
Okay.
He was one of the veteran linemen they brought in. That playoff run was kind of the year, the really shaky line.
Yeah.
And so Ted was Ted's neighbor in Fort Lauderdale. He played for the Dolphins at one point.
Okay.
His neighbor in Fort Lauderdale is a rep for Imperial Headwear. They are one of the leading headwear companies in the U.S. They do a ton of golf hats.
Okay.
And so they were sitting around poolside one day, and Sydney's kind of just like, they're drinking. Sydney's just kind of selling hats. And it's like, you're going to the Bengals. Like, what if we made a hat for your teammates? And he's like, oh, I love that idea. Like, can you come up with a logo? And like, let's make it happen. So they come up with the Cincy logo, and the whole thing was just a gift for the team. So Ted brings them the first day of spring ball, starts handing them out to the team. The team like loved it. Like all the guys were like, wait, give me one of those. Give me one of those. Everyone in the building starting to ask for the hats. And so kind of like, I think it was July, I went to Ted's house. He gave me one. I'm like, this is sweet, dude. Where'd you get it? Oh, I made it with my neighbor. That's weird. And I even told him, I was like, you should sell these. Like, these are sick.
Yeah.
He was like, absolutely not. Like, this is a gift. If you're my friend, you get a hat. That's kind of the cool part of it.
Yeah.
So 2 months later, nothing happens. I wear it to tailgates, and people are like stopping me, asking me like, dude, where'd you get that hat? I've seen some of the players wearing it. And then Ted got cornered. I think the Bengals were like 1-2, and a reporter was doing like a investigative, like, where are these hats coming from type story.
Okay.
And she finds out Ted's the plug. She kind of corners Ted and is like, Ted, people keep asking for these hats on our YouTube channel. Like, what's the deal? And he made up on the spot. He had no plan. He did not clarify with me or my mom. He made up on the spot. We're going to sell these hats for my favorite charity in Indianapolis, the Village of Marici, the organization my mom ran or started and runs.
Okay.
So it was like, what did he just say? So like a month goes later, no action. Ted's midseason, he's distracted. My mom keeps asking like, what's the deal with these hats? I'm like, I don't know. Well, I guess if we're going to sell them, like, we need to take the charge because Ted's like in, a playoff run right now.
Right now, yeah.
So I corner him after like the game before the bye week. And I'm like, dude, the CincyHat.com's available. What do you think of the brand? He's like, I love that. And so we make our first order of hats and launch the site, I think the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and it's taken off from there.
And, you sent me a note earlier and you said, Ted said, don't shut the site down, even if you sell out.
Yes.
And how many did you have on launch day? Like, what was
we had 0 hats in our possession before we started selling them. So we had ordered about 1,000.
Okay.
And we had no idea what the response was going to be. We did like a little like pre-drop marketing, kind of was like, sign up for the email list. It's coming soon.
Yeah.
We had like 900 people on the email list. So we were like, okay, that's not nothing. All right, there's some mystique around these.
Yeah.
And so the first night I like called my mom. I was like, how many hats do you think we're going to sell? She's like, oh, like 300 or 400. And I was like, Mom, like, add a 0 to that. This is going to be a real thing. Well, in the first 12 minutes, we had 250 orders.
Oh my God.
Like, I turned the site on at like 6:56, and immediately like my phone turned into a slot machine. And I was like, oh, like I'd refresh Shopify, and like every like 2.5 minutes to be another $1,000.
Wow.
So that first like 5-hour period, the first day, November 22nd, 22, we did $36,000 in sales. I think by the end of the first 7 days, we were like $135,000 in sales.
Oh my gosh.
And so we had 0 hats. We had no hats. Like I kept emailing my rep at Imperial, like, we need more, we need more, we need more. We need them now. When are they coming in? And so we have like 2,500 back orders before we ever knew how to print a shipping label, before we had ever shipped anything out ourselves. So it's been trial by fire. That's the whole project.
Yeah, but look where you've come. I mean, that's such a cool like story of like starting where you're at to like where you are today. Like,
it's kind of like the luckiest business ever, honestly. And it's not a business. All of the proceeds go back to support adults with developmental disabilities.
Yeah, so let's talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
So Village of Marici,
Yes.
your mom founded that and runs it. Talk a little bit about how it started with Village of Marici and how it's kind of expanded past that.
So my mom worked in special ed for 30 years.
Okay.
My older brother, Jason, is developmentally disabled.
Okay.
He's very highly functioning. He has lived on his own. He has a job, but a lot of the time, like, he'd be in his own apartment, really lonely, no community, no support. So my parents, like every parent in that situation, think like, all right, when we die, like what happens to Jason?
Right.
Everyone lives with that existential crisis. So they did a lot of research in the Midwest. They realized Indiana didn't have many options. There were group homes, but if your numbers called for a group home, you might have to move to like Evansville or South Bend. It's kind of like where something is available. So,
Yeah.
like everyone in this space knows, there's a very huge shortage of housing.
Yeah.
So over about a 5, 6, 7 year period, my mom and kind of like 2 or 3 other key families really kind of thought, what could this be? What could this look like? So in 2014, they opened the doors to the first Village of Marici Apartments. It was 20 apartments that housed 22 residents, all people with, developmental disabilities,
Yeah.
huge range, people like my brother who are very highly functioning, employed, to some people who are 24/7 care, in a wheelchair at all times, cerebral palsy, things like that.
Yeah.
So a huge range, but I mean, it's been a really special journey. Not everything's perfect, right? Like you got a lot of people living on their own for the first time.
Right.
20 of the 22 residents had never lived not with a caregiver or a
Wow.
parent. So a massive boost in independence. I think a couple of them had jobs coming in,
Okay.
maybe like 3 to 5.
Okay.
And I think 20 of the 22 are employed now.
Wow.
So they provide housing, but they also provide coaching and services. So they have about 70 coaches that work with about 140 people that live in Marici Apartments or are out in the community, provide one-on-one direct support coaching.
That's really cool. I like that it gives, everybody the chance to live independently because, there are no barriers anymore. Live your authentic self. And, if you have a disability, don't let it, make,
I
mean,
think a huge part's the community too.
Yeah.
Friends. Like who doesn't want friends?
Right,
Who doesn't want to
100%.
decide where they live and what they eat and what they do, right?
Right.
Like we take it for granted so much. Imagine if that was dictated by someone your whole life.
Right.
Like yeah.
Now, starting at Village of Marici, have you guys partnered with any local organizations here with adult developmental disabilities yet?
We have. So the first 2 years of the Cincy Hat project, I mean, like again, none of this was planned. This is the biggest accident. This is a series of like 18 accidents in a row.
Yeah.
So it was we were just buying hats through the Village of Marici. All the money was connected into the Village of Marici. For the first year, I had another job. It was just like my fun charity little project with my buddy that I'd kind of tell my coworkers about, and they didn't quite understand how crazy it was taking off.
Yeah.
So after about a year, I was like, all right, I need to do this full time. We knew Ted was getting the Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, like that was going to get announced 3 weeks before Christmas. So I was like, I need to like brace for impact. This might be an interesting December.
Yeah.
So we sold like $250,000 in hats that December. So it's like, oh, thank God I left my job. So I was a Village of Marici employee for a year. And again, like the whole thing, like it was never like, this is going to be forever. It was like, well, it'll dry up in a month or two and then we'll shut it down and no problem.
Right.
And it just kind of kept going and kept going. So in October, I think we see, okay, there's the city of Cincinnati, I think through October had purchased like $2.1 million in hats.
Oh my gosh.
And we were like, we got to start making a huge impact in Cincy. I mean, we felt that the whole time. The Cincinnati community has done this and we're like, all right, it's time to really set our sights on what can we do for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So we still support the Village of Marici monetarily, but we launched the Cincy Hat Foundation. So our first act in Cincinnati, we've sponsored a scholarship program for 2 young adults at UC.
Oh, cool.
UC has this really cool, it's called the IDD Education Center. They have 4 different programs for adults with developmental disabilities.
Okay.
The program we've sponsored it's like a full-on college program for 2 young women who are highly functioning but have developmental disabilities. They live in the dorms. They go to college classes. They also have vocational training and kind of some life skills independence coaching. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's not a full bachelor's, but it's a really cool 4-year program. So that was kind of our first. Jessica and Mariah are our first 2 scholarship recipients. We named hats after them.
That's cool.
We got the scholarship series. So that's the first thing. And then, we've just heard there's a lot of other needs in Cincy too. We know housing is a huge barrier for a lot of people.
Major lack of housing here. In
Major
Cincinnati.
lack of housing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, heck, rent for even me. I'm like, gosh, rent is expensive. Oh my gosh. And I don't have a disability and I don't have income limits capped on how much assets I can have in my bank account. I can't imagine. So we're exploring. We don't exactly know what that could look like, but Ted's energy for this is insane. Ted is like the most passionate man in the world about helping this group of individuals. And honestly, it's kind of riled me up and got me going. I mean, my mom's the connection to it all, but Ted's ready to roll.
See, that's so cool that, you hear about these foundations with players and what they do. And to see Ted is so hands-on with the Cincy Hat still is
like Too
Great.
much sometimes.
Too much.
Sometimes it's like, all right, dude, like you got the Ravens on Sunday. Like, all right, let's end this call early.
Yeah.
We don't need to be talking about
Go
hat
get some
styles right
rest.
now.
Yeah, chill out.
It's an ebb and flow. It's like I feel like we're both matching manic energy. Where
Yeah.
like if we're both manic, it's dangerous. That's when ideas are happening and oh God, we're planning a tattoo convention now and like ridiculous things happen. And then some days it's like you pick up the phone, like one of us is clearly like not there, and it's like, all right, yeah, we'll talk to you tomorrow, man.
Now let's talk about St. Tattie's Day.
Yes.
You know, the tattoo convention. That was to celebrate the Walter Payton Man of the Year, correct?
That was to celebrate the fan vote.
The fan vote,
The
okay.
fan vote. So yeah, that was they have a fan vote. All the nominees are put into kind of a little popularity contest amongst their fans, and it's like a Twitter thing to get engagement with the program.
Yeah.
And so I think like who had won it the years prior? I think Mahomes had won it the 2 years prior.
Okay.
And all of a sudden Ted was in like second or third place, and people were like, "Wait a minute." Like we could win this. Like, let's go. So people went nuts. I mean, my whole Twitter feed for like 2 weeks was just hashtag, Walter Payton Man of the Year Challenge Karis. And so Ted got into first place, I think. And then a couple of the fans that we know on Twitter, they had started to tweet kind of jokingly, like, if Ted wins the fan vote, I'll get the Cincy logo tattooed on me. So Ted calls me one day. He's like, dude, you see what Garrison and Bangalorean were saying? Like, that's pretty hilarious. They'd get the tattoo. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And then the next day I opened my phone and Ted had gone rogue after practice and he had retweeted one of them and said, if we win, I'll pay for everyone's tattoo. And I was like, oh no. Actually, at the time I was like, hell yeah, that's the sickest thing I've ever heard. We'll like rent out a tattoo parlor for a day or something. That's hilarious. Go for it. And so of course he won. And so we're like, oh man. Okay, what does it look like to tattoo like 500 people?
That's
so we
insane.
didn't really know how many people really wanted it.
Right.
A lot of people were talking about how many people were going to sign up.
Right.
We put out like a sign up link for the free tattoo. Like 300 people signed up in an hour.
Wow.
So we're like, oh crap, this got serious. We didn't have any tattoo artists lined up. We had put out it was going to be on St. Patrick's Day. So it was like January 30th. We had no venue, no plan, no nothing. We were like, all right, it's go time. So that next like 7 weeks, that's the hardest I'll have ever worked in my entire career. Like there's no way I hope I never put in more time to anything else in my life, but we hit up the folding warehouse. We got like 44 tattoo artists to come and set up. And luckily tattoo artists, they do conventions. Thank God. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd never had a tattoo.
Yeah.
I had never seen a tattoo. I didn't know the process, didn't know the supplies. And so luckily there was like a couple artists that really took me under their wing. And they're like, okay, here's what we need. Here's the logistics. I'll help you kind of orchestrate this.
Yeah.
Ted ponied up like free tickets and $500 to every single tattoo artist.
Nice.
It turned into a great day. I think we had like 1,200 people come through the door, tattooed like 500 people.
Did you get a tattoo?
I didn't. I'm holding out for round 2.
Okay.
Ted ended up getting it. He wasn't supposed to get it. He did not want to get it.
Okay.
And then Joe Burrow dared him in front of the team. It was at the draft. When the first round pick gets announced, they fly in and they have actually it was a free agency dinner.
Okay.
They were all celebrating the new free agents that signed and they were all at a dinner. And somehow Tattie's Day got brought up. This is like 2 days before. And Joe looks at Ted. He's like, you're getting it, right? He's like, no. He goes, all right, well, I'll donate $25K to the Village of Marici if you do. And Ted was like, all right, and shook his hand and then was like, uh-oh, I might get in trouble for that. So he did it. He kept his word. He got it. And Joe donated the money.
That's awesome. See, I like that camaraderie too they have with each other there. It's good to hear as a fan that, the team is so tight. Like
Ted loves the team.
Yeah,
Ted loves the city, the organization. I mean, he loves Zach,
Yeah.
the new O-line coach. They're like fast friends.
That's cool.
This is his place. I mean, it's Ted getting picked by Cincinnati is one of the coolest things that have happened to our lives.
That's so cool. Now let's talk about some partnerships here. I know like not only do you partner with like Village of Marici and other organizations locally, you also have partnered with schools, businesses. Like how has that turned out? The Flying Pig coming up. I mean, that's a huge partnership right there. How has that worked out for you? Like
all happy accidents.
Yeah.
Like I think the first person to reach out was like Skyline. It was when Ted was nominated for the Man of the Year. And they were like, hey, could we do a Cincy hat with the Skyline logo on the side? Like, that's a sick idea. Heck yeah, we'll figure that out. So we did that run, but again, wasn't really like seeking that out from anyone.
Right.
And then 2 really passionate moms who ran the Spirit Wear at King's High School approached me last spring or summer. And they're like, hey, we want to do a hat for the King's district, but we want to do it in our colors with the Cincy logo and the school inside, or school logo on the side. Like, what do you think? It's like, yeah. That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So we get the hats in, they came in, we were like, these are sweet. Like I saw the vision like immediately when they came in. I was like, we're gonna sell this. We're a spearwear company now.
Yeah.
And so we launched like the first site. They had about 200 hats. They sold at a game, and then we did a pre-order.
Okay.
We sold $30,000 in 2 days of King's School District hats.
Wow.
It was like, oh, so then our brains got churning on like, wow, like I think that's a big part of the project is like a lot of people feel like involved in ownership. I mean, we've had 27,000 unique customers.
Yeah.
What a unique, like, I feel like it's just so interesting and unique. I mean, the whole thing is the community, right? It's not like we've done it. It's like the community has bought them.
Right.
And they've bought so many of them, we can't stop. And we're like, well, we better keep putting out cool new stuff because they want them.
Well, and that's the thing, the beautiful thing too about the Cincy hat is like, it's just umbrella of Cincy. Like it's not, nothing particular, it just says Cincy. And I think people in Cincy really love Cincy. I mean, I'm doing a podcast about the city. You know what I mean? So
there's pride.
There's a lot of pride here in the Midwest and in Cincinnati. So I think that's a great partnership, especially the Flying Pig.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge #1 marathon in the country. Like
so the one of the women who from Kings who was really passionate, I basically hired her on as a salesperson.
Nice.
Set her up on a little commission plan, and I was like, hey, like go chase other schools because I had been up until November. The entire thing was me and Ted. Like I had some volunteers helping me pack, but like everyone would be like, oh yeah, like the team, like what? It was like, it's just me and Ted just like working ourselves to death.
Yeah.
And we're just, and like, I realized how much that I was a backlog. So I got a woman named Angeline, started helping me out with social media and marketing. And I was like, oh, we can do so much more with more help.
Yeah.
And people want to help. That's like the coolest part of the project.
Yeah.
So we've got somebody running our marketing and PR, Angeline. We got Ashley. She's like our co-branded school company sales.
Nice.
And she got the Flying Pig on board. And it's just, like you said, it's like the Flying Pig team was so pumped because they were like, oh my God, we're involved with the Cincy hat. And we're like so equally excited. Like, oh my God, we're involved with the Flying Pig. So just such a flywheel of like fun and cool partners and people that see the vision and a joint fundraiser. And
now where do you see this going? Like you said, it started as just you left your full-time job to do this full-time. You got a team now. Where do you see it in the next 5-10 years?
My brain can't compute those timelines. I have to focus on like next week.
Yeah.
That's I feel like every time we try to plan something, it doesn't go to plan.
Yeah.
And then every time something's like super last minute and like time constrained, but it feels kind of cool.
Yeah.
Those are the things that pop. And so now that said, like absolutely, we have been a hat business fundraiser.
Right.
I think we would like to get into a little more of doing good and providing infrastructure for the community. Nice. So that'll change things.
Yeah.
Like, and if and when we go down that path, like it needs to last forever. It needs to be bulletproof. We take that seriously. Like if we're going to build housing, that better be there forever. That's somebody's livelihood. That's multiple people's livelihood. I mean, we will take that very seriously if we go down that path.
Yeah.
So, some thoughts and some dreams and some visions and, a lot of it would rely, some of the things we want to do would rely on some pretty big donors stepping up. Like hat business is great.
Yeah.
Hat business doesn't build buildings. That's a whole nother level of money and infrastructure and whatnot. So it's a weird thing right now where I feel like we're almost kind of transitioning from like startup hat business to like kind of nonprofit charity, but also keeping the hat business because that's like super fun and such a good branding thing for us. And
and it does fund the charity aspect, the foundation aspect of it too, which is like you said, having that foundation. It's really awesome to see for an NFL star.
Yeah,
usually foundations kind of stop when they're done and kind of fizzle out, and to see like
Ted ain't done
this, but to see this legacy that the Cincy Hat Foundation is going to build for adults with developmental disabilities here in Cincinnati is just incredible.
I feel like I'll appreciate it when I'm like 75.
Yeah.
Like when I'm in the line of fire, it's like just like nope, like keep going, just keep trucking.
Yeah.
Can't focus on that, can't rest on our laurels, but someday I'll look back and be like, that's pretty cool, Ted.
Yeah, we
good,
did that.
good work.
Yeah.
I think what I really want to get into is more events.
Yeah.
I think there's a huge appetite. Ted and I think just we have a good concept of what's a really fun, unique event, and I think we have some really fun ideas for like some different fundraisers, things that are a little more like sponsor and like high end donor driven, but then like community driven.
Yeah.
And like my brain's kind of like, gosh, like we can get 1,000 or 2,000 really awesome people to an event. Like what could we do with that?
Right.
Like, we thought about like we do like a euchre tournament or something, or like I don't know, just something that's like not like breaking the bank for anyone, just gets people involved and Ted loves hanging out. Ted will go hang out with Cincinnati people for 7 hours.
I mean, we're fun. Cornhole, pickleball, we got it all. I mean,
100%.
That's fun. Now, speaking of events, though, you do have a golf tournament coming up, correct?
We do. We had a very passionate man from one of the largest Buffalo Wild. This is a microcosm of how this project's happened.
Yeah.
This guy reaches out. He works for the largest franchisor of B-dubs.
Okay.
Groob Inc. And he's like, hey, dude, I see what you guys do. You don't know me, but I have a kid with developmental disabilities. This touches my family extremely deeply. And we've heard so many stories from so many people. And that's, I think, a cool part of the project. Like, I think it's almost given people like something to identify with.
Yeah.
A lot of families, it's like the thing you don't talk about. We don't talk about our 43-year-old son with autism. We just, that's our, cross to bear or whatever, for not the right words, but kind of, sort of.
Right.
And so this guy reached out and he was like, we used to have a corporate golf outing with the charity beneficiary. And, it died with COVID. So we just haven't done it for 5 years.
Yeah.
But what if we threw you guys one? And I was like, I mean, that feels like the most generous offer ever. You're just willing to throw us a golf outing. And so I was like, when? Thinking 2026. How about June? Oh, God. And it was one of those moments I was like, well, that's exactly the brand. That's our brand.
Yeah.
Do stuff last minute, pull it off, figure it out.
Yeah.
Just say yes, commit. Like Ted's dad has a great line. He's like, you guys are ridiculous, but you're open to the realm of possibilities. And I was like, we got to be open to the realm of possibilities. This guy wants to help. Let's let him help. Let's let him throw us a golf outing. So that's going to be June 5th out at Stone Lick.
Okay.
Filling up fast. We just started reaching out to people like last Monday. Yeah. And so it's like, I think halfway full now and shaping up. So hopefully it'll be a good, fun annual event. That'll probably be a core staple annual event.
Yeah.
We've got some ideas around a casino night in February or March that we've done with the Village of Marici. That's always a good time.
Nice.
So
I want to go back to when you said about the families, and it gives them, something you said the Village of Marici does is give the adults with disabilities the community and the friends. What you guys are doing too is also giving, like you said, the families that community to talk to. And like you said, it is something you don't talk about. And that, I just want to highlight that really quick because that's really, really incredible that you're giving these adults an ability to not, like you said,
feel that
bear,
weight.
That
feel
weight.
That
Yeah.
weight. I mean, imagine
share with each other.
Imagine being an 82-year-old, knowing you have like cancer, knowing you have a 57-year-old kid that you've been the sole caretaker of with developmental disabilities and you don't have something lined up and you just got like a cancer diagnosis. My mom, they had one of the first Village of Marici residents. It was very similar to that situation. A man had a adult daughter who moved in and he said, I've been fighting this illness for 6 years. I have been fighting for dear life to make sure my kid was taken care of. I feel like she's taken care of now. He passed away shortly after, and he knows that his daughter's taken care of forever. So that concept of a forever home and the heartbreaking thing, Marici has done unbelievable things. I mean, my mom, she's a saint. Yeah. I mean, really. I mean, she's been grinding at this we've been grinding at it for 2 years. She's been grinding at it for 37. So she's been getting
She's just retiring, correct?
She is. She's stepping down as executive director, going to join the Cincy Hat team. That's what she's on our board. And I'm like, you ain't retiring. You're just changing teams. But no, wait. She'll be a good advisor for us and a sounding board and whatnot. Cool. But no, I would always ask what's you guys, you house 75 people now. Yeah. What's the waiting list look like? Well, we had to cut it at 500. There is like I said, there is 4% of the available supply compared to the demand for affordable housing for these people with community, with a little bit of oversight. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, people could rent their kid an apartment in any building or whatever, but then they don't have community. They don't have someone looking out for them. Mm-hmm. They don't know who their neighbors are. Yeah. So it's a never-ending problem. I went to a summit a couple weeks ago. Empower Me Living is a really cool local organization. They're doing a lot of data collection around kind of the needs and what people want in the community around housing. And every metric's really bad. They're all really bad. I think they said there's I don't want to overstate. I know there's hundreds of thousands of people living with caretakers over a certain age. And it's a crisis, and it's kind of one of those with the government, it's interesting with spending cuts. Yeah, you can't guarantee on anything, right? Like the government's $35 trillion in debt. At some point, things are going to have to get cut, and I get that, and so it's kind of we kind of see it as being it needs to be a Herculean charitable effort. Yeah, and that kind of has to.
I applaud you guys for stepping up and finding that, and you hope other people will too.
Hopefully,
to step up. So that's awesome. So moving away from hats, you told me you guys are working on some other things coming out soon. What can you tell us what those
Yeah.
are?
2025, I had told myself it's going to be the year of the non-hat.
Okay.
We've done probably like 200 hat styles. The hats are sick. This is our newest one right here, the first round draft pick.
Nice.
We dropped it last night. We sold $20,000 in hats last night.
That is
That's where it's like, I'll have these waves. Like, I think it's over. I don't think anyone cares anymore. And then like a moment like that, it's like, it ain't over.
Yeah.
But we need to keep coming out with cool stuff.
Yeah.
And like people have been begging us for like hoodies, golf polos. So I'm teasing a little golf polo
Nice.
quarter zip combo here that's coming soon. This is from a local brand, Hunna Shirts.
Okay.
It's a guy out on the west side actually.
Okay.
I met him at Clover Nook at an event, and he's like, "Hey, I got a polo brand. Would you ever want to do a local collab or something like that?" I was like, that's the best idea ever.
Yeah.
Let's print them. So that's, I think, getting involved with other brands, finding cool collabs, different products, even like limited drops. I have a dream of making a Cincy shoe happen. If you make custom shoes out there, like, and can scale them and can make us 150 pairs of some Cincy dunks, like, that's a dream of mine.
I mean, that would be sick.
Right?
That would be like a cool Cincy hat shoe.
Yeah. I
That
feel
would
like there's
be-
like limitless possibilities. I mean, luckily the logo is like the coolest part.
It is.
I didn't design it.
Yeah.
I wasn't involved for the first 7 months of it. I didn't come up with it. So I can proudly brag on our logo. And like, if it was any different, it wouldn't have worked. But like, you put that logo on anything and it's like, oh, there it is.
And it works. And it's recognizable now. It's got brand recognition. People know what it is.
Yeah.
And they're attracted to it. They want to use it. They want to wear it with pride. And like you said, Cincy's full of pride for the city.
Yeah.
So it's all exciting things. So yeah, where can people go to buy a product like Cincy hats?
TheCincyHat.com.
Okay.
And then all summer, we'll be slinging hats at the West Side Market.
Okay.
That's, I think, once a month. I think it's like May 10th, June 7th. I forget the July event.
Okay.
We sell every Sunday at Bengals games, Bengals home games,
Cool.
at Bengal Gyms tailgates.
Okay.
And then we're in a bunch of different retail shops.
Nice.
Lemons and Limes, Cook Sporting Goods, Le Marie Limited. So a lot of different places. But yeah, theCincyHat.com. That's where all the freshest, newest stuff gets put out.
Yeah, and follow them on social media, guys.
Yeah.
Like
I no longer run it, so the quality's much better.
Well, that's where you find about the exclusive drops, like the draft hat. Like that went quick, like you said. Like, so follow them on social media for all that thing. So Matt, I want to thank you so much for coming out today. This was a lot of fun to talk about the Cincy hat and what you guys are doing. And anything else you want to say?
No, just to the Cincinnati community, thank you so much. Truly, I mean, this project, we had no plans for this. This project found us. This project continues to find us. Everything just somehow continues to fall into our lap, and this unbelievable outpouring of support and love. I mean, I had no interest in doing this for 3 years.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like a fun little like 3-month project,
Yeah.
and then we'd go back to our lives and never talk about hats again.
Yeah.
And like just the enthusiasm, momentum has carried us through it. So it'll continue to, and we're fired up. We're ready to go. We got a long way to go though, but we're ready to go.
That's exciting. Well, thank you again for coming out today. I know you've got a busy day with, the draft and everything going on, but I want to thank you for taking time out to sit with us today and talk. And guys, I want to thank my sponsor, Zach Hubbard at Hubbard Home Loans. And we will see you guys on the next week's episode. Thanks so much.